There were several House members over in the Senate chamber during the debate taking place, members of the Homeland Security Committee. Clay Higgins of Louisiana was one of those members. Do we have Congressman Higgins? All right, he's joining us now by phone. As I mentioned, the House is taking votes, and so he's stepped off to the side in the cloakroom to talk to us. Congressman Clay Higgins, thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, sir.
So how would you describe what took place in the Senate today?
It was essentially a procedural battle of the Democrats efforting to just kill the entire impeachment proceeding and to not allow any debate nor any presentation of evidence, and Republicans using procedural votes and privilege, recognition to force votes to try and assure that Democrats were on record with that position.
Right.
Because if it was up to the Democrats and Schumer, they would have just swept it after one, motion from the leader over there, Schumer.
But as you
and then that would have been the end of it. So it was a battle of wits and parliamentary procedure essentially today in the Senate. I was there, and Andy Biggs. We were there for the House.
So just for full context for our viewers and listeners, you're a former law enforcement officer, been to court many times through the judicial process. Essentially, the Senate is sitting as a jury, as a court, based upon the charges that come over from the House.
That's right.
Isn't it kind of odd that there's no evidence even presented and they dismiss it before they even hear the case?
Unprecedented, sir. In the history of our country, there's never been an impeachment where articles have been passed through the House of Representatives and formally presented to the Senate, wherein the Senate dismissed the impeachment articles without hearing or presentation of evidence,
right,
unless the impeached individual had already resigned or left office. Because impeachment conviction which constitutionally is to take place in the Senate after a trial. That's for the removal of that individual from office. He's removed
right
from office and cannot hold office again. The actual impeachment articles are born in the House of Representatives. That's the constitutional procedure.
Right.
So Mayorkas has been impeached. We've impeached him through the House, through my committee, and then from there, we formally presented those articles of impeachment to the Senate, wherein normally a trial would take place.
Right. We knew the outcome.
Similar to what you envisioned, but
right. We knew the
criminal.
outcome. We knew what the outcome was going to be, that they would not find him guilty, but we assumed that they would follow precedent and allow the evidence to be presented. This sets precedent for the Senate in that they're not even holding trials when the House essentially indicts someone, impeaches someone.
That's right, Pastor. And not only could they had options here, because Mayorkas is a secretary, not a president. So constitutionally and by rules, they're not required to hold a trial, on the Senate floor. They could have moved it to committee.
Right.
So there were Senate mechanisms that the Democrats could have accessed to allow at least the presentation of argument and debate and evidence, both evidence that I would have presented as one of the impeachment managers in favor of the articles of impeachment. And this is still America. So the Democrats and Secretary Mayorkas would have had an opportunity to present argument and debate and evidence opposing the articles of impeachment.
Right.
All of that presentation of evidence and debate was shut down.
So Congressman Clay Higgins, let me ask you this question. Does this fuel the lawlessness that we've seen sweep across our country when we're just dismissive of serious crimes like this?
Well, it Pastor, it's hard for me to really get my head wrapped around what has happened with this, because I love my country and the core principles that have served our nation so well for 240 years have largely been betrayed by our own Democrat majority in the Senate today. Did America at least deserve to hear the evidence?
Yeah.
And to have a formal presentation of prosecution and defense, a vigorous prosecution and a vigorous defense. That's the cornerstone of our judicial system. And although impeachment is not a criminal proceeding, impeachment through the House and the Senate mirrors the type of seeking justice that Americans are accustomed to in our judicial system.
Right.
So American citizenry deserve to hear both sides of this argument clearly presented within the Senate as envisioned by our founders, and Democrats in the Senate have established a precedent that is frightening to consider just how heavy it is. Essentially, impeachment is over as a mechanism for accountability.
Wow. Congressman Clay Higgins, I know you have to go vote. I want to thank you for taking time to step off the House floor to talk with us and give us your insights from the Senate chambers from today. Thanks so much.
Yes, Pastor. It's wonderful to speak to you. God bless you, sir.
All right.
America will make it because we are an anointed nation. Thank you, sir.